Well, let's start with the big story of the day. A major shift in the United States-Iran standoff. Just when the ceasefire appeared to be collapsing, we are learning that US President Donald Trump has now extended the ceasefire window, but with hard conditions. The extension comes even as US continues the naval blockade of the Iranian ports, tightening pressure on it. Trump has made it quite clear that the ceasefire will hold only until Iran submits a proposal for talks and until those discussions are concluded between the two parties, one way or the other. And this is what Donald Trump has posted on social media. He has taken to social media just a while back announcing that there is a ceasefire now. The ceasefire has now been extended. In fact, let me take you through what he has posted on social media. Just a while back, he said that based on the fact that the government of Iran is seriously fractured, not unexpectedly so, and upon the request of the Field Marshal Asim Munir and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif of Pakistan, we have been asked to hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with unified proposal. I have therefore directed our military to continue the blockade and in all other respects remain ready and able, and will therefore extend the ceasefire until such time as proposal is submitted and discussions are concluded one way or the other. And this is what he wrote just a while back, because the deadline for the expiry of the ceasefire was 5:30 a.m. in the morning Indian Standard Time, and just few hours before that, now Donald Trump through this social media post has said that the military will continue the blockade, but in all other respects they are ready and able, but they are extended the ceasefire until such time as far as the proposal of Iran is also concerned. Let me get you more perspective and go across to my colleague Srinjoy, who's been tracking all the details. Good morning, Srinjoy. Take us through what has happened in the last few hours, because the deadline was 5:30 a.m. IST, and just few hours before that, Donald Trump has extended the ceasefire. But I want to ask you, is this a mutually decided extension of the ceasefire? Has Iran agreed to this?
First of all, this is President Trump's decision. He has decided that the ceasefire has to be extended, and he has extended the ceasefire. Now, of course, as you rightly said, there are certain conditions. He expects the Iranian side to come up with a list of proposals. Now, this list of proposals will be decided upon by the Iranians. The Iranians will decide what the proposals are, and then they will hand the proposals over to the Americans, either via Pakistan or directly. That's not very clear. So at this point, the bottom line is that the ceasefire has been extended. Whatever the conditions are, the most important thing is that the two sides will not get back to war, that the ceasefire will persist. Now, for how long, in what way, we will have to see. But importantly, the blockade of the ports of Iran, the naval blockade, will continue. Now, that will be stressful for Iran, stressful for Iran's economy. How Iran can go around it remains to be seen. One option, of course, is a pipeline from somewhere in Iran through Central Asia to China. But that can't be done in a day. It can't be done in a month. It can take a year, at least a year, to do something like that. So the whole question is, what will happen now vis-a-vis Iran's proposal? What proposals are going to be put on the table by Iran? Will it include the nuclear option? Will it include Strait of Hormuz? Will it include the naval blockade? So what the president has done is put the ball in Iran's court, saying, okay, here is your ceasefire. Now you tell us what you want to do.
Absolutely. So it remains to be seen whether in the coming hours or days the ceasefire will lead to talks, or will it lead to further escalation in the coming days is something that remains to be seen. Do tell us about what Iran has said on this, because we are learning that there are statements coming in from Iran saying that this ceasefire is a ploy to buy time by the United States for some sort of surprise attack.
Yes, Iran believes that it may be a ploy, but nevertheless, the ceasefire is still in place. The question is, what would have happened if there hadn't been a ceasefire? What were the options before America and Israel? Well, one option was to strike at Iran's infrastructure. That means America could have hit Iran's power plants, Iran's pipelines, Iran's water supplies, and so on. What would Iran have done? Iran would have done roughly the same. Iran would have attacked Israel, Israel's ports like Haifa, which Iran already has attacked in the not-so-distant past, and Iran would have hit refineries, a series of refineries. They did hit a few, a series of refineries in the Gulf states, and they would have hit the water plants. The water plants, hitting them would have been absolutely devastating. So this would have affected the 90 million people of Iran, the millions of people who live in the Gulf states, the 10 million people in Israel, and among them were 9 million people who are Indians. So if you're going to hit all the water plants, if you're going to hit the refineries, then you basically put the entire area into a period of darkness. Because can you imagine an area that is largely desert, that is short on water and short of its most important resource, crude oil?
Absolutely, because throughout the day yesterday, Donald Trump kept talking about resuming bombing on Iran if they did not make a deal before the ceasefire expired, and the deadline was 5:30 a.m. IST. Iran even refused to go to Islamabad, but now Donald Trump has extended the ceasefire. But do shed light on the back-channel talks. There's uncertainty still. It's been 2 days ever since US had mentioned that their team would be going to Islamabad for the talks. Iran has rejected that. What is the situation on the ground right now?
Well, first of all, there was talk of J.D. Vance and Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff going to Islamabad. Now, were they going? Were they not going? Were they going? Were they not going? It was not clear. It was finally felt, even by our channel, that unless J.D. Vance gets onto that plane in Washington, D.C., we will not know whether there are going to be talks or not. Because very simply, if Vance gets onto that plane, it means that the Iranians have agreed to fly from Tehran to Islamabad. Now, the flight for J.D. Vance would have taken 12, 13, 14 hours. For the flight from Tehran to Islamabad takes 2 or 3. Now, if J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, is getting on a plane to go to Islamabad from Washington, you would imagine that the Iranians have been persuaded to come, because the Vice President of the United States would not have gone to Islamabad, shook hands with Shehbaz Sharif, and walked into an empty room. He is the Vice President of the United States. He would not go if he knew that the Iranians were not coming. Now, more important than even the talks, the fact that the ceasefire is in place. Now, that's a huge lifeline for the 150, 60 million people who live in that area. And that's a lot of people, because without that, it is possible. We don't know what President Trump would have done. We don't know what the Iranians would have definitely done after that. But there was a possibility of bombing to start, the bombing of infrastructure, then the Iranian reply on the Gulf states and Israel. It would have led to a lot of damage and a lot of destruction. So if nothing else, this extension of the ceasefire is a lifeline for the people there.
Absolutely. So there is uncertainty as far as the back-channel talks are concerned. Stay on with us. We have a reaction coming in